The NPP on Sunday, that is August 31, is going to have what they call, is it a special delegates or conference?
It's a delegates conference.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to prune from 7 to 5 individuals who want to contest the presidential candidacy of your party. And a lot has been going on, hasn't it? Your observation so far about how the electioneering has gone prior to...
Well, looking at our history, we had a situation where 17 persons could file that they wanted to be flag bearer hopefuls. The party then had to look at this constitution and decided that not more than 5 persons should be allowed to file their nominations to lead the party. Where nominations close and there are more than 5, a super delegates conference should bring the number down to 5. So when nominations closed, we had 7 persons, and National Council has decided that come Sunday, the super delegates clause should be invoked. Those who are eligible to vote to bring the number down should be given the go-ahead to vote. So Sunday, at the end of the day, 10 regional capitals and the national head office will be the polling centers, and then the first 5 would then be eligible to go and face a larger electorate of over 140,000 persons. I believe, by and large, the aspirants have conducted themselves very well. The little challenge has been some of the followers.
You call
the outrances.
You call the outrances and all that thing. You say little.
A little challenge. I mean,
those are little challenges.
Yes,
they're not huge challenges.
Not necessarily. If you look at the controversies which have arisen, they've not been out of control. The only problem, as I said, probably is the social media, where all sorts of things are said, where unfounded allegations are made, etc., etc. I'm saying that for the aspirants themselves, they've comported themselves very well, except that some followers have been carried away, some followers have not followed the rules, some followers have done the wrong things, and that gives us a bad image as a party. But we are learning, and we need to manage it. After Sunday, we will know the first 5, and then we move on from there. As a lot, if after Sunday, some people feel that they should drop out of the race, the fewer the merrier. And if everybody should drop for 1 person to still remain, that it would be constitutional, to be legal. Beyond that,
we'll come to that very subject. Mr. Jenapo, you as an academician and doing all the observations, are you perhaps thinking that these are the right processes that individuals and the leadership of the party have taken to make sure they build that level of consensus because they have a certain agenda?
Well, I think the Constitution says it clearly, so anything other than that, I mean, will be an affront to the Constitution.
No, I'm not necessarily talking about the rules that they're following.
Yeah.
The rules that they are not following, I mean.
Well, I think, first of all, if you look at what is going on with reference to the NPP, especially, I mean, when you backtrack to Tamale up to this time, I thought Tamale, and it looks as if it's characteristics of the NPP. The NPP, for some reason, almost after every 4 years, they change the leadership of, the executive. I mean, Honorable, I stand to be corrected.
Well, it
looks as if it's becoming a tradition.
No, especially for the chairmanship.
The chairmanship, yeah.
Yes.
So I when they were going in for that election, I knew definitely the chairman, if you go by tradition, was going to lose. And when I listened to the chairman's speech, especially the chairman, I thought, I mean, the NPP as a party seems to be rebranding itself. Because the first time that they conducted the elections in northern part of Ghana, the first time they have a Northerner as a chairman, and if you listen to his speech, he said they should go home and prepare for what? Victory. That was his statement. They should go home and prepare for what? Victory. But if you look at what happened within the last few weeks, I think it was not the best. But talking about this whole election, as he rightly put it, look, it's a constitutional requirement. And definitely some will win and some will lose. And It's always been the practice. And my argument is that even if you listen to most of the people, especially within the Nanado fraternity, it looks as if the posture and argument that is being made is that, look, when we go and somebody gets a resounding victory, and I think they've always pegged the figure at 90 plus. Why don't we just forget about it and go with that candidate? I don't know what informs that, but of course, most of the reasons being assigned to it is because of money and stuff like that. But you see, my point is this, Roland, when it comes to presidential elections, especially the NPP, and going into 2016 to meet a candidate of the caliber of John Mahama, I think
have they concluded their Congress?
Well, they haven't, but yeah.
Oh, that's your...
No, I know definitely. But Roland, the point is this. I think it's not about who wins, so it's about how united the NPP is. That is what is important. You can get, if you remember, in 2010, Nanado won 78%, which is quite an extra. I mean, that's a huge number. 78% of an election where one person chokes. That's a lot of numbers. But what happened in 2012? He wasn't able to cross the 50+1 mark because probably some people who are in the smallest minority, be it 5,000 or 10,000 or 20,000, were not brought on board. So I think, and I would have wished that moving forward, especially coming from the Nanado camp, as they know that they are going to win, their interest should be how to be able to be what? Reconciliatory. Reconciliatory. And they make reference to in 2007 where Alan stepped down. Alan did step down. He wasn't forced out. He did step down. So in this election, if Nanado has a resounding victory, it's the onus lies on Alan to step down, but to step down genuinely, where he's ready to support what? The candidature of Nanado. But of course, look, 2010 was a different period. This time is a different period. I will wait to see what happens. But I think the NPP as a party should be more interested and more focused on how to unite each other than what they are doing by tearing each other apart. Because you remember the Solomon story. You know King Solomon. King Solomon is being acknowledged for being the wisest king ever. And what is the reference point? The reference point is about two women who were fighting over children.
A baby.
Anytime they say King Solomon is intelligent or the wisest, that's the reference. One woman wanted them to slash the two into two. One woman said, no, give it to the other person. So I want to see somebody in the NPP, whether factions or whatever, who say, look, I do not want to slash the NPP into two. I would prefer you having the NPP intact for us to come into government than for us to what? To both go on what? In opposition in in 2016. And I think that is where the interest should be. As for the Sunday, I think it's just a procedure that they are going through.
Now, prior to this very special delegates conference, as we call it, has been a number of your branches in the diaspora of your party who have been convening or putting together elections to select proxy people to come and vote. Right? They're coming to vote by proxy, right? On behalf of those people. They are the delegates.
Yes.
Now, if you look at all the publications and the posture of these branches, and the argument that has been raised thereof about whether some of the things they're doing infringe on the regulation, not necessarily the constitution, but the regulations covering elections, etc. Do you think all these tend to create the needed atmosphere to...
Well, I only see it as being of campaign value, in the sense that where
it disunites people?
Not necessarily. What is happening is the membership in the diaspora, they are required to maybe bring 3 delegates per chapter.
And they also depend on the population that is there.
Of course. And then they decide that instead of just saying that we've nominated these 3 persons, we should have a way of saying that this is how we want you to vote on our behalf. They go into an arrangement. How do we know the views of the majority of us? If indeed we really want to tell them that this is how we think, then let's all decide. And they decide that this is how we want you to vote, because the majority of us think that if you vote this way, it will help the cause. The only challenge is where we publicize it and make it look like 90%, 95%.
Well, it's 90 something.
That is the challenge. Otherwise, indeed,
it's 96.67.
Indeed, what I'm saying is
from where? Where is that? Is that China?
That's USA.
USA. Indeed, there are 3 persons from what branch that you are sending. If for any reason they come and they don't do what you've asked them to do, you may not even know. You understand? Because they come and vote.
So you think that the critics should not be worried?
We are learning. This is the first time that we've seen this. Every time they send delegates from our branches abroad. Every time they send delegates. Now
in your opinion, do you think this is procedural?
No, I'm saying that the impression is being created that there's been elections before elections. There's been no elections before elections. They were just mandating their delegates to come and vote in a certain direction. What I'm saying is that, fine, they thought that was the most democratic way, that if you know that 80% of us want it this way, then that's how we expect you to go and vote. The challenge is where they have publicized it, that we here 80% support Nana Akufo-Addo. So we expect that when you go and vote for Nana Akufo-Addo. I'm saying that, of course, if you are in Nana Akufo-Addo's camp, you gloat over it and make it a campaign issue or have a value to it. And your opponents will then say that you are not playing fair, you are setting your own questions and marking the questions and saying that you've scored 100%. That's what the opponents will say. But the reality is that they are sending delegates to come and vote on their behalf. And they think that this is the best way to show that this is what we want.
But I just wanted to ask,
could it be that in other words, as you asked your question,
yes.
In other words, could he be meaning that, well, if the tide had been to the other side, let's say another camp had been seen in the publications to be saying to have been leading by etc., they wouldn't have been complaining as well.
I think legitimately so.
Yeah.
But my question is, so when it came to the elections at Tamale, not all the delegates from the overseas came. So did they vote to tell them?
I don't know how. I don't. We only know that they came representing the various branches. Okay. I don't know how the mandate they gave them.
Okay.
That when you go and vote for Jacob, go and vote for Afoko, and this is how we arrived at a decision. It's only come out this way, and then others are complaining. So next time we need to see how we manage it. But that's just how it has come out.
You see, Roland, the point is this: when it comes to politics, politics is not a wedding. Politics, he has been an MP and he's into politics, and he knows that when it comes to politics, sometimes it can be dirty. And the ultimate responsibility of every candidate is to win. So whatever way that you can do to try as much as possible to more or less dent the psychological framework of the individual.
Because it's a race.
Yeah, it's a race. So this could have been
in reality, it's a race.
Yeah,
it's like Bukumaku.
It's just
like Bukumaku threatening you that he will kill you before the fight.
You see,
even though in reality he will not kill you.
It can be a psychological strategy to go about. But at the end of the day, look, let's face it. You and I and Honorable know that, look, Nana Addo will win the primaries.
He doesn't want to admit that.
I won't pretend.
If you were to be an objective...
The two of you are putting...
No, if you were to be an objective person...
if I were to be an objective person...
Yes, objective person. You will say that...
I'm supposed to be an arbiter,
yes,
moderator...
You will say that Nana Addo will win. The only thing... Let's say, okay, not objective person. A media analyst. Nana Addo will win. The only thing
that's what Kukubako to do.
The only thing is how, by what percentage?
Yeah,
what margin?
That was what I was getting to.
I'm surprised that maybe a reputable institution like multimedia.
No, but they can't do that for maybe national elections.
You haven't been able to pull. They are only about less than 800 persons. You should have opinion pool.
For national elections.
So very quickly, let me land on this. I think Nana Addo will win the delegates, the special delegates conference, and he may win with he may win a landslide. There's no doubt about it.
Landslide looks frightening, right?
No, he will win a landslide. There's no doubt about it. Nana Addo is very, very popular when it comes to the MP. But at the end of the day, my interest is, whilst he is able to secure, he's able to take the lead. If he's, I think I used the wrong word by saying he will win, because even if he's on top, he hasn't won. They need 5 people. once they go into the October 18th election.
But he'll still win the October 18th election.
Definitely, definitely. Once they go
Also
for
by landslide.
that I wouldn't know. We'll be able
That's
to.
a larger number.
We'll be able to gouge. We'll be able to gouge what is going to happen. Of course, we are talking about 1,000 people, right? For the special delegates.
787.
So that's about
less than 800.
Yeah, less than, that's about 1%.
Yes, the larger population is 140,000.
It's gonna be a representative sample of them. But at the end of the day, I think that he will win the October 18th. But my interest and my worry is how they are able to manage themselves from August 31st to October 18th. The acrimony that was characterized, what did they call it? What happened at the party headquarters and stuff. If those things are going to recur, then I can tell the NPP
let me pose this very question to you. If there should be an objective content analysis of, let's say, public opinion and intra-party even, then the conclusion is made that Nanado is going to win, or then ultimately also wins October 18th. Why would there be any machinations against him within his own party when ultimately the objective is to win the presidency?
Why do you say machinations? Where do you think there will be machinations?
Because there would be animosity from certain factional groups within the party. That, I mean,
after Sunday.
No.
Or before Sunday.
After October 18. I mean, ultimately, let's say I'm only positing a hypothetical.
No,
why would that?
No, this is a human institution, and in a human institution, you not get all the persons
of like minds.
Yeah, all the persons thinking in one direction. 100%, you never get it. That's why he's talking about unity. No human institution can have 100% thinking in one direction. It happens in other parties. What he's saying is that if your larger goal is to capture power, is to be in government, then you should subsume all your personal interests, subsume your aspirations and ambitions, and see that this is the way the majority want to go. Let's all, by consensus, follow this direction and do our best to make sure that we achieve what we want. That is all that it is. But for anybody to think that after October everything will be calm, everybody will accept situations, of course, even when it comes to campaigning, people have different ideas on how we should carry out the campaign.
From same camp.
From same camp.
Okay.
Or how you should even invest. Somebody will say that, why don't you spend more money on t-shirts? Somebody will say, no, spend more money on training. And if you don't manage that even well, you spend more time breaking about how to even spend your resources or invest your resources. And this is what happened. That's where management is key. But as to thinking that everybody will go in one direction is impossible.
So there are even factions in political parties that are even in power?
Of course.
Okay.
Like what we're witnessing now.
Well, first of all, Roland, let me state this. I think when it comes to the NPP as a party, Nanado, as we speak today, is the most popular person. And even that popularity is acknowledged subtly by his arch rival, who is Alan Shamate. And I use the word arch rival because, look, first in the history of politics, internal politics, during the 4th Republican Constitution, that you've had two candidates at least contesting 3 times. 2 candidates. Nanado and Alan contested in 2007. They contested in 2010. They are going to contest in what? 2014. In 2014. So they are arch rivals. There's no doubt about it. But if you listen to Alan, you see that he makes an admission, even though subtle, that Nanado may be popular than me in the party. He's not popular when it comes to floating voters. So at the end of the day, give me the opportunity. You get what I'm saying? That is the argument that he makes. But that notwithstanding, my argument is this. In as much as Nanado has the advantage and the recognition of that advantage by his rival, then the onus lies on him, and more importantly on him, to be able to bring them on board.
To pull people.
To bring them on board. So when you hear people, and I think Honorable Obianwa did mention that, look, the supporters, the candidates are okay, but the supporters are those who are having problems. Okay, that's accepted. So why can't the individual in the driving seat and his supporters, if let's say Roland, you are a supporter of Nanado, and you know that my candidate is what? is going to win. Why do you have to get into?
I hope what you said is just a hypothetical.
No, just a hypothetical. Why do you have to get into trouble with the supporter of a candidate that you know?
Hypothetical.
No, that you know will not be winning, and that is why I use the example of the Solomon issue. If the NPP is not able to win the 2016 elections, Honorable, the responsibility and the blame lies with what? Namabo and his camp. It's a fact. If I sit in here, if I walk out
so he needs to make sure that
we
have to wrap up the discussion.
If I'm moving out.
So what do you look forward to after that? Because it's almost as if that when you listen to public opinion and what is said as social commentary across the media space, it's as if it's a done deal after
I pray
this.
that Sunday will be peaceful. It will be an example for the whole world.
Where will it be held?
The various regional capitals.
Okay, it's also a simultaneous election, just like
it starts from 8 to 3, right?
8 to 3.
Okay.
I'm sure there's some places within 3 hours they would have finished.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the numbers,
yes.
I understand Northern Region 62 as a
yes,
the numbers are quite
where you don't have many
but what does it mean when the
are all the MPs voting?
Yes,
all the MPs.
All the
Where's
MPs
your
are.
vote?
What
It's your secret. All right, so.
Well, I've told you who will win.
Ekwapim South
So if
Member
I
of
should belong to
Parliament.
the winning
One
side.
time Deputy Minister of Sports is Obi Amwa. Osei Bonsu Amwa.
He enjoys this thing.
Thanks for joining me this
Thank
morning.
you.
I love it when I play mischief sometimes. And Dr. Amejinapo is a lecturer with the University of Education, Wureba.
So is he on strike?
Oh,
I wanted
no,
to
we are
talk
still on
about
strike.
UTAG.
Technically, we are on strike.
Technically, he's on strike.
Technically,